The key HR gave me came on a green ribbon. The first line on the rules sheet taped inside my locker said, "Do not open anything sealed with a green ribbon." I'd already opened the locker. I stood there with the key still warm in my palm, ribbon threaded between my fingers like a vein. The paper crackled under the buzzing fluorescent, onion skin thin, typed in a font I hadn't seen since school nurses sent home notes. Someone had underlined certain lines in red pen. Someone else had written around them in cramped pencil, like a second voice arguing with the first. "Welcome to Graybridge Museum of Industry and Folklore, Night Attendant. Shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. You will be the only staff on site. The exhibits are motion and humidity sensitive. Security, preservation, and guest experience are your priorities. Follow the rules. If a rule conflicts with your training, obey the rule." Below that, the numbered list began, the first already a problem. Rule 1. Do not open anything sealed with a green ribbon. Shipments, cases, doors, mouths. If it is bound in green, it is not for you. I looked down at the lanyard around my neck. HR had clipped my badge to the green ribbon key for convenience. Marla from admin had smiled like an apology. Budget freeze, weird locks, you know how it is. She'd handed me a radio, a pouch of fobs, and said the part they all say. "It's quiet here. You'll get used to the building." She had not mentioned the rules. The rules had waited until the hallway emptied, until I found my assigned locker, until the green key slid home and surrendered a paper that made my jaw ache. Rule 2. Arrive before full dark. If you fail, keep to the central corridor. Eyes forward, do not acknowledge donors. I was late. Not by much, 10:23, but the sun had shrugged off the edge of the river an hour ago, and the building had recalibrated itself tonight. I'd walked past the glass donor's wall without looking. I hadn't realized it was a rule. I thought I was just anxious. Rule 3. The freight elevator is for outgoing only after midnight. If the car arrives uncalled, send it down. If it arrives with a crate, do not cut the ribbon. Press B and hold 5 seconds. If it begs, ignore it. If it knocks thrice in long intervals, run. Rule 4. Keep the founder's hall mirror draped. If it shows you, lower your eyes. If it shows you smiling, radio control, and say, "Morning rounds." Control will not answer. Keep talking anyway. Rule 5. Whistling from the great ship's gallery is not the air. Do not whistle back. Start the humidifiers. Count to 240. Whistle stops by 237. Rule 6. Camera May 12th display a second view. Do not watch for more than 3 seconds. Kill the feed. Do not wave. Rule 7. If the emergency phone rings at 111, answer on the second ring. If it rings at 113, let it speak. Do not say hello. Rule 8. Your badge is true until 3:03. After that, cover your name with tape. The building grows literal with names. Rule 9. If your pocket grows heavy between 2 and 210, do not reach in. What you are carrying is not yours. Rule 10. If a docent mannequin asks for water, give it air. There are more, smaller, nastier, tucked into margins. Do not step on the compass rose in the lobby after midnight. If the boiler stops, clap twice before calling maintenance. Never correct an exhibit label out loud. I slid the sheet into my back pocket the way you tuck love letters where the heart can keep an eye on them. The pocket felt heavier for it. Maybe that was my imagination. Maybe that was Rule 9 wiggling its fingers. The locker door didn't like its new angle and swung shut with a tired click. The hallway beyond hummed. Old building, new systems, a chorus of low-grade throats clearing themselves. I clipped the green key away from my badge and stuffed it deep into the pouch of brass. It still touched everything through the leather. The security office was a closet with monitors. Camera 12 showed the lobby and the compass rose, brass lines radiating under a glass ceiling. The glass showed me the museum's idea of the river, a mirrored blackness with fingerprints in it. I counted the cameras out of habit. 15 angles, 3 blind corners, 1 dead feed in the textile room no one had bothered to fix. In the corner, a map with colored pins. Green pins dotted doors I hadn't explored. I looked away. Rounds are simple when nothing wants you. You walk, you twist a handle to make sure it resists. On my way to Founders Hall, The air thinned into that clean museum cold that lives between paint layers and varnish. The mirror stood 12 feet high in a gilt frame, the color of honey old enough to be bitter. Someone had draped a canvas drop cloth over it, fastened with blue tape and what looked like faith. A corner had slumped, triangular as a smile. I kept my eyes down and retaped the edge. Something behind the cloth breathed on the adhesive. It smelled like lemon oil and a hand you can't see. My radio hissed. A voice I didn't know filled my ears softly. "Don't touch the cloth, kid. Let it settle itself." I froze with my palm against canvas, tape stuck halfway to obedience. The radio didn't squawk back when I asked who'd said that. I stood very still until the tape decided it had always been where I left it. The breath behind the cloth warmed, then cooled, then stopped. The great ship's gallery whistled from the far and like an old man remembering. I could hear the humidifiers already running, even though I hadn't started them. I counted anyway. At 2:37, the whistling cut mid-note. I was starting to understand that the rules were less like instructions and more like weather reports. You don't tell the wind to stop, you tell yourself how to stand. Back at the monitors, camera 12 showed me stepping into the lobby I had not stepped into. The second me paused on the compass rose and looked up as if counting stars on the glass. He raised a hand to wave at the camera. The motion was gentle, pleading. 3 seconds is not long. It is a lifetime if your other self's palm is open in invitation. I killed the feed at 2.5. A petty, old superstition made me raise my hand anyway and pat the air where it had been. Midnight rolled across the building like someone drawing a curtain. The freight elevator dinged. I hadn't called it. Rule 3 felt like a weight on my shoulders. I walked to the shaft with the kind of casual step you use when a dog is deciding whether you're a friend. The car waited at my floor with the door half open, and a crate sat neatly centered on the scuffed steel. The crate was bound in heavy twine, and a ribbon the exact color the key HR had used to ruin my first night. Green wax stamped with the museum's seal capped the knot. The crate smelled like cedar and long water. It thumped once, polite and patient, the way a stranger knocks on a bathroom door they wish were empty. Do not cut the ribbon. Press B and hold 5 seconds. If it begs, ignore it. If it knocks thrice in long intervals, run. I reached across the door, found the B button, and pressed. The car did not move. It sighed. The ribbon glowed the way things glow when your brain pitches a tent around them. My radio popped soft static like fingers rubbing together. The voice that had warned me at the mirror did not return. I held the button until my wrist trembled. The car stayed. The crate waited. Somewhere below, machinery woke and thought about it. I let go to shake my hand out. The crate knocked again, louder this time. The interval stretched long enough to make me think about answering before the second knock came. Same strength, same patience. My skin tried to stand up. The third knock made the floor under my shoes hum. Run, the rules said. But the car door had slid open all the way in the pause, and the ribbon was right there, and the wax seal wore the museum's signature like it had earned it. The building had already decided I was obedient to green. I had proved it with a lock and a key. A voice came from inside the crate, clear as a person with no would between us. It said my name, not the way HR said it. The way my mother said it when she wanted me to come inside before the streetlights told her to. I didn't answer. The elevator's call button lit up as if by someone else's thumb. The light colored the hallway a nervous shade of emergency. The voice inside the crate softened. It tried once more, and this time it used a name only my first dog knew. I almost said it back. The syllable rose like heat off asphalt, sweet and stupid. My thumb found the B again and pinned it. The elevator did not like being told no. Cables murmured in the shaft, a sound like a long throat clearing. Inside the crate, the voice tried the tone my mother saved for thunderstorms. Please, just a little air. The ribbon creaked against the wood as if a mouth stretched underneath it. Do not cut the ribbon. Press B and hold 5 seconds. I counted slowly, not trusting numbers that come easy at night. At 4, the car twitched. At 5, the doors obeyed and slid together like patient teeth. The last thing I saw before the panels met was the wax stamp, shining a green the first was starting to hate. The car sank. The shaft exhaled a colder version of the building. The crate knocked once on its way down, then again, then a third time after a breath and a half. Long intervals. I ran because that was the rule and because my legs finally believed it. I don't remember crossing 2 corridors. I remember the weight of the radio and the way the hum of the lights braided with my breath. Founders Hall waited where I'd left it, all hungry frame and slouching cloth. The drape had slipped 2 inches. Beneath it, a crescent of mirrors shone like a grin drawn with a blade. My reflection wore a smile I wasn't making. Morning rounds, I said into the radio. Morning rounds, over. Control did not answer. I said it again. The smile and the bit of glass held, hard and unblinking, like a photograph pinned to a wall. Morning rounds. I'll be checking valves after this. The more I talked, the more the cloth decided to be heavy. It eased down on its own and found the tape with a sigh that sounded like agreement. The sliver of me vanished. My radio stayed silent except for the kind of static that moves like breath. The emergency phone rang at 111, an old bell noise arranged neatly in the air. I let the first ring pass. I picked up on the second and kept my mouth closed. A man's voice unspooled, the same calm one that had warned me by the mirror. Good. You're listening. Don't cut green. Don't let the elevator catch you in the hall. Cover your name by 303. If the donors ask you to witness decline, the word is closed. Say it like you're closing a book. Who are you? I asked because I'm not made of perfect restraint. Gone, he said, and the line went quiet. I held the handset until the dial tone found me and felt ridiculous for having expected help that kept office hours. At 1:13, the phone rang again. I let it speak. The line did not choose a voice. It tried them all, stitching together every kindness I'd ever left on a porch. It was my mother and my first grade teacher and the voice you hear in museums when the docent kneels to your level to explain a whale. It said my name like an old house says your footsteps. When it ran out of knowing, it began to play the sound of my dog's tags hitting the bowl. I set the handset down gently and walked away. Between 2 o'clock and 2:10, my right pocket grew heavy. It started as a suggestion and became a fact, a tug that bent my spine a degree. I walked the central corridor at museum speed, the way you do when other people are pretending not to hurry. I did not reach in. Twice my hand moved on its own, and twice I put on the rail instead. By 2:10, the weight vanished like a dream you almost told. When the minute changed, I took the paper out. The rules page lay there, warm from my thigh, heavier than it had any right to be. Taped to the back, a brass plaque the size of a dog tag, swung on a green ribbon. The museum seal was stamped into it, and so was my full name. I did not say it. I did not touch the ribbon. I folded the page over the tag and put both in a different pocket and pretended the key and the wax and the crate were not all part of one conversation. At 2:22, the building held its breath. Somewhere deep, a compressor clicked into a different version of itself. The donors showed themselves as absents. The corridor got longer, and the plaques got brighter, and the glass reflected a person who wasn't there standing right where I was, looking past me with mild interest. Eyes forward, the rules had said, do not acknowledge donors. A woman in a hat from a century I'd only known by portraits appeared at the edge of the glass and kept pace with me. I did not look. I did not break stride. She waited 3 steps and then said, almost kindly, witness for us? Closed, I said, voice steady. History is closed. The glass kept pace a second more and fell behind as if I'd stepped off a moving walkway. My knees buckled after, not during. I have never been brave on schedule. Camera 12 flickered back on by itself. The lobby glowed like it had an extra light source, and the second me stood there again on the compass rose, head cocked, palm up, wanting. He opened his mouth and showed green tied across his tongue like a ribbon on a box. I killed the feed and pulled the plug for good measure. The monitor died in a small, offended way. At 3:03, my badge tried to float. I taped the name flat. The elevator came back. The immigrant mannequin whispered water, and I gave it air. Dawn arrived by decree. HR smiled, asked me to sign an outgoing. Far below, something knocked once.